hammer function by pushing down here. Everything's good. Alright, now we can move on to the bolt assembly. Step 1 on the bolt assembly is to remove these 3 screws on the rear of the carrier. These you want to use the provided screwdriver. Your next step is to remove the Torx head screws. I use a T9 Torx. It's a little bit small, but it's the same size that you're going to use on the bolt jacket if you remove those. If you remember, I said I didn't want to take out the ones that I have already upgraded on the bolt jacket, but the stock screws that come out of there are a T9 Torx. So I picked mine up at I believe it was AutoZone, or O'Reilly would probably have them. Like, you know, any good auto parts retailer should have a T9 Torx in stock. But what I do is just stick it in there. You're going to need something a little bit longer because they're in a deeper recess than the other screws. Okay, once you've removed all the screws, you can pry the 2 halves of the bolt carrier apart. And you want to do this gently because the springs will try to fly out on you. Just like that. Now, this is just a note, as you reassemble, you'll want to make sure that the springs go in the correct orientation. If you'll notice, there's one end of the spring that's larger than the other end. You want the large end to go towards the rear of the bolt carrier, just like this. If you put it in like this, the gun is not going to cycle correctly. So take your springs out and then take out your actual bolt. You saw that one just kind of shot out of there. And this is the bolt jacket screws that I've already upgraded, and like I've said before, I'm not going to take these out because they're Loctited in there real good. So it's wise to check the tightness on these every couple thousand rounds, because a lot of the problems that arise with ejection problems and failure to fire and cracked breech faces and all that stuff arise from the bolt jacket screws becoming loose. So check the tightness on them. You don't have to do it every time you break down, but on regular maintenance intervals. Okay, now it's time to reassemble. Put your spring on. This would be the one on the left side of the bolt if you're looking at it from the rear. Take the back carrier and capture the spring right here. Then press the bolt towards the rear of the carrier, sliding it into this little groove until it snaps in place. And it should be riding with no binding whatsoever. Okay. Now we replace the next spring in its correct orientation, the skinny end towards the front. And we're going to do exactly the same thing that we did on the rear, or on the bottom plate I should say. And this is a little tricky. You just gotta have to kind of work with it. It helps to kind of pick it up and look at it as you're doing it. The spring's gonna try to twist on you a little bit. There we go. Just like that. Just check to make sure everything is square. And then upgrade your screws. Flip it over, and we'll want to use, that's why I have these laid out. You've got 2 smaller screws and 2 smaller nuts. Those go on the front where you remove the Torx screws, and then you've got the regular assembly screws that you've used on the rest of the gun and their corresponding nuts. Those go on the 3 rear. So we'll start with the smaller ones. This little process helps out a lot. Otherwise you're going to be playing with those little nuts. That never gets old. Okay. And tighten it down. Okay. Once you've installed these 2 smaller front assembly screws, you can do the 3 rear regular size assembly screws. Okay, now that we've upgraded all the screws and everything appears to be tight, make sure that the bolt will travel in the carrier. And we're in good shape there. It should slide about that far back. Now it's time for the total reassembly. Take your receiver, turn it upside down, grasp the bolt and slide it into the rear of the receiver until it's flush. If you haven't already, trip the hammer on your trigger pack and insert it into the bolt and slide it forward until it makes contact. Make sure your bolt is totally seated. Insert your bolt stop, and this is your final upgrade, your bolt stop screw. Tighten it until it's hand tight, but don't strip it out. Install your handguard. I'm using my HK push pin for locking. Also install your trigger pack push pin. Install the stock. And finally install the barrel cover. And congratulations, you've completely upgraded your stock screws, and you've disassembled and completed your reassembly of the GSG rifle. And the process works equally as well on the P and the PK versions of the GSG-5. If anybody has any questions or comments, be sure to either message me or post a comment on the video page.